Gotta keep myself in check sometimes, 'cause I tend to dream real big sometimes. The fancy outfits and the sparkly awards, my name and lights the people lined up at the doors. But I gotta remember to take it one step at a time, 'cause people seem to think that you'll be happier once you reach the top. You'll have it all, but I'm living for right now. 'Cause what if tomorrow never comes? I'm not waiting, I'm not waiting for the confetti to fall. Yeah, yeah. Ooh, I can't just sit
Hey guys, it's Nate from the 80/20 Drummer, and this is indeed a lesson of the week. But I thought for this week I would do something different. So I'm gonna do, I don't know if you guys remember back in the days of DVDs, and it's actually the only thing I miss about DVDs is that they used to have a commentary track. So movies like Fight Club, I'm dating myself here, but that I was super into, you could hear like David Fincher and Edward Norton do commentary over them. So today I'm going to do not a total lesson of the week, not a total drum cover, but a drum cover with commentary. So you are going to hear me playing Tori Kelly's Confetti as played by Tony Royster at the Guitar Center, drum off and roll tape. So I'm just going to cut in at a couple spots during this recording to basically show you how I practiced stuff. So I want to show you first the groove that I played behind this, which is kind of a variation of what Tony plays, but it's sort of self-explanatory too. So let me show that to you. That may seem like a simple groove, but it was actually the single most challenging thing about covering this tune. And the reason why was that I would listen back to myself on the recording, and Tori's doing some really deep guitar work. And if the drums don't fit in with that perfectly, it sounds really lame. So there were three ways I practiced this. And one was with the metronome on the swung eighth upbeats. So of course the tune has a matrix like this, 3, 4. So you got that swung eighth matrix happening, so you just put your metronome on instead of 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and it'll be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And that teaches your ear to listen for those upbeats with the guitar. And so that helped me settle in a little bit. But the next thing I did was I moved it to EF8, which is what my students in my course know it as, which is every fourth eighth. And actually it's not really eighths, it's more like sixteenths if you're thinking of 1, 2, 3, 4. If you're thinking the pulse is 1, 2, 3, 4, then it's eighths, but I'm thinking of it here. So that just means that instead of going 3, 4, you're going to put the metronome here, 3, 4. And something you want to play around with is that kind of broken, implied swing feel. And you can start with kind of the minimum notes necessary, 3, 4. Something like that, and just practice hooking up with the guitar. So the beat I settled on was this, of course, 3, 4. And that's because the bass line in the first bar is boom, but boom, boom. So you're catching that boom, boom on the kick drum. and then along with it. So that's really all I have to say about that. The one thing that helped me was recording myself along with the track after I'd practiced with the metronome and just listening back and just inching it toward pocket. I felt like I grew a ton on this spot. So let's roll the rest of the verse and chorus, and then we'll get into that little odd phrase length solo break that she does that confuses everybody. Okay, so you've just seen me do part of that solo break, and you're going to see a couple other examples of how you could play it. But I want to do two things with that, and the first is to teach it to you. So I think of it as kind of an ABA, and I don't really sweat where the one is, but I just think of it as like an additive rhythm. Trying to think like a guitar player. So at the worry of embarrassing myself, I'm going to sing it for you. 3, 4. Ga-dun dun, ga-dun, ga-dun dun, ga-dun dun, ga-dun, ga-dun dun, ga-dun, ga-dun dun, ga-dun dun, ga-dun, 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 ga-dun dun, ga-dun dun, ga-dun, ga-dun dun, ga-dun, ga-dun dun, ga-dun dun, ga-dun. Okay, so it's an ABA, and I'll show you why. So the first and last bits of this phrase are identical, and then the middle part has a variation. So the first and the last beats, or the first and the last phrases, are really just this: ga-down down, ga-down, ga-down down, ga-down down, ga-down, ga-down down. Right? That's just 8 beats, but then with a phrase extension: ga-down, ga-down down. Right? So that's the whole phrase. So let me sing it for you again. Ga-down down, ga-down, ga-down down, ga-down down, ga-down, ga-down down, ga-down, ga-down down. Then you're into the middle part. And then the middle part, it picks up on the ga-down down, ga-down, and it's got a little phrase extension. So it's 3, 4. Ga-down down, ga-down, 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 ga-down down. And then it goes back. Ga-down down, ga-down, ga-down down, ga-down, ga-down down, ga-down down, ga-down. So she's playing with that 4-beat phrase, the ga-down down, ga-down, ga-down down, ga-down down, ga-down, ga-down down. Okay, so how do you practice this? First and foremost, you just practice it in 4, as if it were in 4. So it'd be like 3, 4. You just practice that beat like that. Practice it with the metronome the same as we practiced in the first half. And then start adding on the weird phrases. And when you can play the whole thing through just with a groove, guess what? You're already ready to do the gig. Like any sort of fancy gospel solos on top of that is just extra. And in reality, would probably get you fired if you were doing the gig in real life. You know, there's a reason why Tony Royster did this with his own band at the Guitar Center Drum Off. It's a very specific audience. But if you Google other clips of Tori playing this, the drummer is pretty conservative and he's just catching her figures playing around the guitar. So anyway, this is sort of, if I just played the groove around that entire section, it would sound like this. 3, 4. Okay, so if you want to go extra credit, if you want to solo over this, I'm actually going to show you a template. This is something we do in marketing. It's like, get my email templates. I'm actually going to show you a scripted solo that you can practice and then add your own variations onto. And I'll show you some tape of me playing variations of these, but essentially this is what it is. And I'll show it to you First over the 4, so you can get the idiom, and then I'll show you how it evolves over the phrases. So the first one is over sextuplets, and that'll just sound like this. 3, 4. Right, and then you can add rim shots. 3, 4. So now let me play what that would sound like over the entire phrase. 3, 4. And you can throw in orchestration variations such as rotate. Okay, so now I want to give you a variation you can play if you want to do it in terms of 30-second notes. And that would be this. 3, 4. Right, so that's the phrase over the 4. And you can add rim shots to that again. 3, 4. Now remember, there are a million directions you can go with this, but I find that sometimes the hack to playing a good solo over something is giving yourself some kind of scripted out lick as a home base. I know this is blasphemy, and in a lot of my other materials, I urge people to practice improvisation purely from a phrase-making standpoint, but this is the other side to it. You want to be able to take something like this and glom on your own ideas to it. So there are a few variations you can do with that. 3, 4. That sort of thing. So now let me play you what that would sound like over the entirety of the phrase. And you can see the type of things that I do to vary that. I'll show you a couple examples of me playing that 30-second note-y thing over the top of the kind of solo section. Rotate. All right. So I hope this lesson has given you some material to get started conceiving of how you might use a tune like Tori Kelly's Confetti and the drumming of somebody like Tony Royster to kind of get inside what it would be like to play that gig at the same time as practicing your groove and solo chops. So guys, if you're new to the channel and you've enjoyed this lesson and you want to go a little bit deeper, I've got a brand new offer for you guys. I just finished a brand new free 3-video course that will improve your drumming in 3 weeks or less. And if you've kind of been plateauing a little bit or you're not quite sure what to work on to break through to the next level, I highly recommend this 3-video course. You can get it right now by clicking on the screen. And I know that once you see the improvement with the 3-video course, you'll realize you want to take it to the next level and look into my coaching course, which is like 6 months of studying with me for the price of about 2 lessons. Guys, really enjoyed it. Once again, this is Nate from the 80/20 Drummer. See you again in a future lesson. One love. Peace.